Hi, Erin. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the next sessions of the Western Sydney University Vietnam Campus Virtual Open Day. So the next session will be school business with the Master of Education program. So we are looking to roll out this program to our Vietnam campus very soon. So if you have any questions about the program, please put them in the Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen, and we will answer after the presentation of the guest speaker. So now everyone, please with me welcome Professor Michelle Simons, Dean of School of Education, and Dr. Erin McKenzie, Director of Academic Program, Postgraduate Specialist Programs, to give more information about the Master of Education program. So Erin, I will give you the control of the mouse, and then you can just start with your presentations. Okay, I can move the slide for you.
Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you so much, Jenna. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm the Director of Academic Program for Postgraduate Specialist Studies in the School of Education, and I'm joined by Michelle Simons as well, who's our Dean of Education, to talk to you about our really exciting venture that's starting at towards the end of this year to move into the Master of Education with a specialisation in leadership and management. So this is a really innovative and unique course in that it is co-delivered by the School of Education alongside the School of Business. So we're actually blending subjects from the Master of Education with those from the Master of Business Administration that you will have heard about in the previous session. So it's a really exciting course, and I'd love to step you through that over the next few slides. So in terms of what you'll be studying if you choose to complete this program with us, we have 4 core subjects, the first 3 of which are education research focused subjects. Now, this sequence of 3 subjects are taken over sequential quarters. And so what that means is that we train you up in educational research methods in the first subject. And then across the second and third subject, which are research in practice and professional project, you will then actually design and then conduct your own small study in the educational context in which you work. The 4th core subject is our leading change subject, which is really around, managing change in educational organisations, but in a way that, fosters relationships, and really sensitively manages change in those places. You'll also study, can I just get you to go back? Thanks, Jenna. You'll also study what we call 4 specialisation units. Now, one of those is an education-focused subject called Designing Curriculum Futures. And then the other 3 units that you can see listed there are taken from the Master in Business Administration. You'll then also complete 4 business elective subjects as well. So what you can see across the program is a really strong educational component, but also the really important sort of subject and content from the MBA as well. Thanks, Jenna. If you could move to the next one. Thank you. So this course is designed for educators who are already working, in schools, but also they might be working in early childhood settings or tertiary settings. So it can be, a broad sort of definition of educational organisations, but very much designed for experienced educators who are looking to move into leadership positions or might already be in leadership roles as well. As I mentioned earlier, the subjects are drawn from the School of Education and the School of Business. And what that does is it's acknowledging that a lot of educational institutions do need the educational leadership side and skills in that space, but are also needing to be able to lead organisations as well. Okay, so there's it's recognising that educational institutions are changing and the business side and the management of the business is really important, as well as the educational leadership component as well. Thanks, Jenna. So as we said, this is not an initial teacher qualification, so you do need to be working or have a teacher qualification already before you come into this course. But you might be working in other educational organisations as well. So a lot of our students who are in this program do work in schools already, but they might also come from early childhood settings, or they might be university lecturers who are looking to move up into leadership roles as well. So quite diverse backgrounds that a lot of our students come from. But just to really reiterate that the course is designed for students who do have a background in education prior to coming into this course. Thanks, Jenna. So another few features of the program. In recognition that you might come into this program with teaching or educational experience, or that you might have already completed another master's program, you can actually apply for credit for prior learning. So we offer up to 4 subjects of advanced standing. So if you think back to the structure that I shared a few slides ago, you would not have to do the additional business elective subjects if you qualify for advanced standing. So to qualify for, the credit for prior learning, you must have completed at least 3 years of full-time teaching experience, or you might already have a master's degree in education as well. To apply for the credit for prior learning, you actually apply at the same time as applying for the course, and so we can let you know whether you have met the criteria for the credit for prior learning before you come into the program. And so you would complete 8 subjects instead of 12 if you meet that criteria. The other really exciting thing about the course is that there's the option to progress to further doctoral study. Jenna, can I just get you to go back one slide, please? Thank you. Because the 3 research-focused core units, because of the amount of research that is within those units, you actually can then apply for a PhD or educational doctorate after completing this course. So that's a really exciting pathway that is available on completion of the Master Educational Leadership specialisation. The assessments that are part of the program are very much have been developed for teachers and educators. So they're developed and designed so that you can use the educational context that you work in as a stimulus for your assessment tasks. And so they should be really, relevant to your workplace. And so that is certainly a real feature of the design of the subjects in this program. In terms of the entry criteria, you must have an undergraduate degree, at least in teaching and education. So that's one group of students who we would be targeting. The other is that you must have an undergraduate degree or higher in a range of other areas, alongside 5 years of professional work experience in those fields. Okay, so it's really showing the importance of having coming into the course with work experience and being an experienced educator to allow you to be successful in this program. Michelle, is there anything else you'd like to add at this point before we move, I think, into the questions?
No, Erin, I think you've covered it really well. I've been answering a couple of questions as we've gone along, but I think what I'd underscore is the point that while it's important that you do have experience to come into this program, it also can be a gateway to other opportunities. Often when we think of education attached to schools, but education or facilitating learning can occur across a range of different occupations. And in one of the questions, I've given the example of potentially working in human resource management, where training and development is done. A combination of education and leadership and management training would be ideal for that type of role. And similarly, people can work leading learning and development across a range of different occupations in health and community services and social services, but also in the government as well too, where they might be part of the working in education departments, providing support to schools. So there's lots of different opportunities, but again, as Erin points out, a lot depends on your previous background, work experience, and also the disciplines where your undergraduate degrees come from.
Michelle.
Is there anything you want to add in, Erin?
No, I think that covers all of the information that we wanted to share about the program at this stage. So very much happy to open it up to some questions.
Yeah, as Professor Simon said, she has been answering some questions in the chat, but I would just like to read it out again, and then you can just have a little bit add in more information for the students to have more information about. So what type of roles will this degree qualify me for in schools? So I can see here, can you see the Q&A sessions?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just catching up.
Yeah, so I think Michelle said that the type of roles will depend on your prior qualifications and work experience. And if you have completed study which have qualified you to be a teacher and you are already working as a teacher, this degree will assist you to build your careers towards leadership roles in schools, such as deputy, assistant, and principal roles. So if you do not have qualification to work as a teacher, this degree can act as a pathway for work in administrative roles in the education sectors. So do you have anything to add in there, Erin?
No, I think that's Michelle's answered that brilliantly. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries then. So we're going to move to other questions then. One question here said that, are there any scholarships for international students to study this course at the moment?
Not that I'm aware of. Michelle, do you?
I am not aware of any, but Yi Chen, do you have anything that you might be able to add here, please?
No, I think it's really good to have the master's education programs that attract those who already work in international schools. As I understand that there are more and more teachers required in the international schools in Ho Chi Minh City, and the government is really sort of injecting a lot of resources to build up not only the international school, which is pretty much private funded, but the government is also building up the English capacities teachings for public schools. So there are opportunities not just for international schools, but local schools as well. So this is really good pathways for already the teachers already in the front in the schools doing teaching high school or primary school students that to step up and gain managerial experience is what Erin mentioned it about. It's a combination of education but also administration degree, which will give greater opportunities for those who wanted to become administrators or senior positions, leaders in high schools or primary schools in Vietnam. And of course, there's a higher demand, as I mentioned it, in the international schools that really need these sort of qualifications for those teachers. So I think, this is great. And our degree, our Master of Education Leadership Management program is unique in the sense that it's very different from the local master education programs, which is pretty much about training teachers, but training to become teachers. But our degree, our Master of Education is training those who already are in the teaching roles to become higher level managers in education institutions. So, yeah.
So Jenna, the answer to that question is that, as Laren said, there's probably not any scholarships available because it is a coursework program. So, but it doesn't mean that there might be other sponsorship opportunities available. Sometimes employers will sponsor their staff to actually do the course because they see value in building the skills of their employers. But in the main, scholarships are not available.
And that's perhaps, the next phase, what we wanted to do is perhaps, connecting with international schools in Ho Chi Minh City and talking to the schools individually about building their staff, and also that may be the scholarship opportunities that can be funded by international schools.
Yep, that's great. Thank you, Professor Yi Chen and Professor Michelle. There's another question asked that's here is, can I come to Australia to study, to complete my studies, or is it fully offered in Vietnam campus only?
Yes, thanks, Jenna. So the course is offered in Australia. However, in Australia, we only offer it online. So for international students, they would not be able to come over to study the course online. So at the moment, yes, it would be just to, you would need to complete the course in Vietnam. However, where the opportunity might be is in further study. So as I mentioned earlier, this program does allow a pathway into a PhD or a doctoral education program, which that might be an opportunity to come to Australia after completing the course.
Yeah. Thank you, Erin. So is there any placement opportunities such as internships when studying in this course?
No, there's not for this program, mostly because the bulk of the students who study this program are already working in a school or in an educational organisation or another organisation. So, so there are no placement opportunities for the program. But as I said, the assignments are very much encourage you to use your workplace context to apply the learning that you've gained in the subjects.
Yep. Thank you, Erin. And there's one more question here. So are there any differences between the two markets, Vietnam and Australia, and how the course can help me if I work in Vietnam, not Australia?
Okay, so Michelle, would you like to take that one?
Okay, right, sure. Look, I think Yi Chen has sort of explained that opportunity. I think what exists in Vietnam and in Australia as well too, but growing in Vietnam is the opportunity to work in international schools. And if you're working in international schools, potentially you can work anywhere in the world, because that's one of the things about education is that it is in fact an international career. Often when you're working in particular countries, particularly in education, each country might have particular requirements in terms of understanding the curriculum or particular language requirements and things like that. But there are also commonalities as well too. So a lot of that is very specific. And I think one of the things it's important to do with any postgraduate qualification, not just this one, but any one that you're thinking about, is to investigate fully the career options that it does open up. And often the best way to do that is actually talk to employers. So, for example, if you are interested in you do have an education background and you are interested, for example, in working in international schools, making contact with the international schools and talking to the people that manage their staffing or to the principal of the school, that can often give you some really interesting insights into the sorts of characteristics and qualifications that those organisations might be offering you. Might offer you. So I think it's like with any qualification that you do, sometimes the career destination is really clear. Other times there are lots of opportunities, and it will depend on how the employer views them. But Yi Chen has, I think, painted a really exciting opportunity that does exist in Vietnam because of the growing number of international schools.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor. So yeah, I think there's one more question that the student sends before when they register. So they ask, is there any English requirements for these programs besides, the academic requirements and the qualifications?
Yes, so there is a certain mark for the IELTS to come in, and so that's advertised on in our course handbook page. So yes, that would be the English requirements for the course.
All right. So, and if the students does not meet the English requirements, I think that they can study English course, or do we offer any English course for the students?
Yi Chen, are you able to help with this one?
This so we have the entry is 6.5 for Master of Education Leadership Management, which if the students haven't had the English requirements, in our local ISB, we have English for Academic Purposes program that you can enroll it in. It's the same programs that Western Sydney University's the college English program. So on completion of English for Academic Purpose program level 5, your English level is equivalent to IELTS 6.5. And therefore, you are able to go into this Master of Education program directly.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you so much, Erin and Professor Yi Chen, Professor Michelle, to spend your time here joining and participating in this virtual open day for our Vietnam campus. It's very informative session, so I hope through your sharings, your information, the student will have a broader picture about the programs, and then we will offering this program very soon at our Vietnam campus. So if the students interested, please contact ISB UH, our Vietnam campus, and then I'll stop there, gonna give you information and then give you advice on how to apply. But yeah, thank you so much for joining today. Thank you everyone for joining and asking questions as well. So yeah, we finished with our session for today, and now